Welcome to the shop. Today we're going to do another glue test. If you check out my videos, I've done 2 glue tests already. And the point of these tests are to find, for me, it was to look at glues that I wasn't familiar with using. And use those glues and test them compared to others. One thing I have found is that there isn't one glue to rule them all. There just isn't. Because there's certain applications that hot glue might be better than anything else. And there's other applications where I'll use my good old trusty E6000 on maybe something that really requires a lot of strength, structure because it's around a landing gear or motor mount or whatever it might be. I have found that using different glues for different applications just makes sense. So that's how I do my repairs and a lot of my builds now. So in this test, though, I am going to introduce 2 new glues. One I've never tried really. So Gorilla Glue White. It actually has an expanding capability. It's a, what is it? They call it a polyurethane glue, and it'll expand quite a bit. So I'm going to try that out. The other is people have said, hey, try Clear Grip from Gorilla Glue. Interestingly, they say, use like E6000. So, okay. I'm interested to see if it does compare to Foamtac. Is it a good alternative to Foamtac? Might be a little cheaper. You'll also notice that on some of these glues, like on the Foamtacs, I buy these smaller containers. Yes, it's more expensive than these field packs. But I find that I don't use a whole jar, 2 ounces of it on anything. I'll use a little bit. And with Foamtac, things start gumming up. So I've resorted to just using these small tubes instead. So going to take you along the ride on that. And, one more thing that I thought was interesting. So a friend of mine gave me a busted up Otter, E-Flight Otter. And when I broke it in half, I started peeling it apart. And it literally, the glue just gave way. I don't know what kind of glue was used on manufacturing, but you can see where the glue just peeled apart, just let go. Kind of interesting. But, just one of those things that, as we're messing with these planes, we'll see some that the glue just decides to fail, depending. Anyway, thought it was interesting. We're going to use these chunks of foam to glue everything back together. Stick around. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of scoring just lightly. Get my pieces and do that, and then kind of try to break on that line best I can. And then we'll put those back together and do a glue up on those and just see how it performs. Again, this is not a scientific test on tensile strength or adhesive measured in newtons of force or anything cool like that. This is just me busting up some foam pieces. I also want to kind of test out the ability of the Gorilla Glue White on how it expands and fills gaps, because that's what some folks say. So just going to leave a couple chunks pulled out, see if that fills that in. The whole point being there's times where you have that. So instead of using a spackle, I can have that glue expand and fill that area. Will that work better? I don't know. Never used it. So we'll figure that out. We'll find out. Okay, here is the test. So you can see, busted those apart, wrote on those what I want to use. I'm definitely going to put a lot more. I'm going to do a couple tests, just with one of these for E6000 and Foamtac. I've used those a ton. I know what they do. I'm really more interested in the Gorilla Glue White and the Clear Grip. So I got a couple extra tests for those. One of the tests, as I mentioned, is how well does Gorilla Glue White fill in those gaps? Over here, people say that Gorilla or Clear Grip is similar to Foamtac. How well does it repair a hinge? I don't know. So we're going to find out. We're going to put it through the paces and just to see if those are additional great options for us in the tool bag, if you will, on these kind of repairs. So stick around. So with Gorilla Glue clear, or I'm sorry, white, it does require a little water. I just sprayed just a mist of water on that foam there. Here, I'm just going to put on a little. They say a little goes a long way. They say it quite a bit. I did a couple samples already, and it definitely foams. So I'm just going to put a little on there. I'm going to get just going to spread it around. Well, that is not much, but we'll test it. That's what we're doing. That's why we're doing this. I want to definitely get it in all the little crevices, and smash that together. That was very sparing. We'll play with it a little bit more. Now I want to do a little Foamtac. And we'll keep on going through this process with all these different glues, gluing them together. Let's try this. This doesn't come with a nozzle or anything. So as I'm applying this clear grip, kind of has the same feel as Foamtac a little bit. I'll let it tack up a little. Okay, this is the clear grip. It says use like E6000, which I thought was funny. All right, E6000, which has been my go-to for a long time. All right, one more for the clear grip, just to have another test bed here. Put that there. Oh, we forgot our foam to foam. Can't leave them out. Well, my other glue is... Foam to foam I find to be very similar to Foamtac also. And it does not eat EPS foam. We're going to quick test here with Gorilla Glue clear grip on a hinge just for fun. This is actually half a hinge. I don't know how well it's going to work, but that's, you know, that's why we're testing this stuff. Works a lot like it's similar to Foamtac. It has a different smell though. It's a pretty strong smell. Out of those glues, yeah, that E6000 has a smell, and this stuff has a little bit of a smell too, a strong odor. All right, we're just going to let that sit and see how well that works. I'll come back and move that hinge a little bit as I would normally. It hasn't been but a few minutes, and I'm taking a look at the Gorilla Glue white, and you can see how it's foaming up and filling in some gaps. Now on this piece, that it's maybe I didn't put enough in. Maybe I should put a little in there to get it to foam. Close those gaps. Maybe that's be an interesting trick. So what we're going to do is to see how well that works. I'm going to give it a little spray, a little bit of water, and put a little in there. Put a drop in there. A little bit, just a drop right there. Right? It's been 24 hours for all the glues. Some of them don't require 24 hours, but what the heck? Just make things kind of consistent. A couple things that I wanted to note. So when I did, this is the Gorilla Glue White, the foaming action. When I did this, and I purposefully took out some chunks right there, if you recall. Well, yeah, I didn't put enough glue in. It didn't expand enough. So I did put a little drop and spread that around. And as you can tell, that definitely filled that gap pretty nice. So I'm curious at how, if I can cut that off. And the surface of it isn't bad. You could almost use this kind of glue as a filler. Not being very careful about my cutting, but I'm trying to get this on camera. Anyway, you could then maybe just put a light coat of spackle over the top of that to give the poly and the paint something a little bit better to work on. Anyway, that was just a side part. The real part is this. How well does it hold? If I break, is it going to break right on that line? Or is it going to break on new foam? So right there, wow, it's good. I will say that was hard to break open. And I think if I look closely, I think it broke on the line. You know, as far as the glue, now it's pulling foam. It was sturdy. If I had a plane that was all busted up and had some gaps in it on my repair, Gorilla Glue White foaming, good option. I like that. Here's just another one of the Gorilla Glue Whites. Just to, I'm curious how well that peels off. Now this is on tape, but the other part is, I don't want a big mess on my hands that I got to sand off or something. So by just using my fingernail, it cleans up pretty good. All right, let's break it. And that broke right on the line. And if I scratch on it, I can tell that there's some glue in there. So it broke on the glue line, which means it didn't weld the glue together. But not bad. Clear grip, which is similar. Somebody said a Foamtac and a little easier to get. Breaks kind of like, some of that's new foam. So the actual line, glue line didn't break, but you could tell it has some flexibility to it, held well. If I recall when I did it, it set up pretty fast, which is nice for in the field. Here's another clear grip. And that's new. It broke along the line, but it did not pull the glue apart per se. It just broke new foam. All right, here is kind of a test of foam to foam. Oh, a pin in there. This did pretty good. It broke new foam. There is some glue in there. There is some glue right there. So it did break at the glue joint. Here is old reliable Foamtac. And as much as I like it, I found that there's just a lot of other glues out there. Yeah, this is about the same as foam to foam. It held. Didn't, if I were repairing a plane, that would work. And here is good old E6000. E6000 will pull apart. It welded that foam. This is a lot of new glue. It just, as you could see, it welded it together pretty well. Trying to see in there. Some of that's glue, some of that's new foam. So, bottom line, from a gluing foam to foam together, Old reliables work, Foamtac, Foam to Foam, but I will say that the Gorilla Glues have a place. This Gorilla Glue White I would absolutely use for a smashed up plane that I might be missing a part or two. This will help fill those parts in and make it easier to finish with a little spackle and sanding and then poly and paint. The clear grip, I absolutely would use this. It worked very well. It tacked up fast, very similar to the Foamtacs and Foam to Foam. So having something like this for quick repairs at the field, non-structural. You rip a landing gear off, you know, I'm going to go to E6000 all day. If I rip a motor mount or a firewall, I'm going E6000. If it's rip a winglet off or a hinge or something, I'm going to go with one of these guys. Speaking of hinge repair, a lot of people are like, oh, no way, this isn't going to work. And so I put this together, and I'm going to pull it apart. I'm going to kind of tell you how much pressure that takes to pull apart. And pulling really hard. Really hard. Yep, it broke. But it's a hell of a lot. That was actually felt stronger than the original foam hinge. So interesting to note. Anyway, really want to test out this clear grip. I think comparing this or adding this to one of the foam or foam safe glues would be great. So next thing, I am going to test this on EPS foam to make sure it doesn't melt it. So stick around for that. Just took a piece of EPS foam, put some Gorilla Glue clear grip on it. I'm also going to put a blob right there. See if it eats through it. And we'll come back in a while and take a look. Based on the smell of glues, sometimes you can tell what's going to happen. Did not know, probably should have read the instructions on this, if this was going to melt foam or not. But as you can see right here, it is, that little blob we put on top is starting to melt this foam. Be interesting to see what's going on inside here as this is getting melted too. So definitely my assessment right now would be Gorilla Glue clear grip is more like E6000, like it says on the container or packaging, and less like a contact cement like the Foam to Foam or Foamtac or Yoo-Hoo Pour. So it's more like welders maybe. Anyway, we'll let that sit and see the damage afterwards. Bottom line, don't use Gorilla Glue clear grip on your UMX EPS foam. It will destroy it. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Have a great day.